What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Ultra League with a full Hundo team, including two Shadow Hundos with Hypno running Legacy buffed Psyshock and Kanto Wheezing running Rollout. And then to round out the team we've got another Rollout user in Waylord. Now I'm not going to lie, Hypno feels pretty awful in the current meta, and even though Focus Blast is necessary coverage against Dark types, you just never really get to that Focus Blast, so maybe a different coverage move would have been more beneficial, but I'm very low on TMs at the moment, so I just stuck with what I had. On the other hand, I really enjoyed using the two back Pokemon, gaining access to Roller, and they are both so much better than when I've used them in previous seasons. Now before we get into the battles, I want to remind everyone of this week's subscriber challenge, the Just Can't Resist challenge. The aim of this challenge is to throw as many resisted charge attacks as possible in a single battle and still emerge victorious. You'll earn 1 point for throwing a single resisted charge attack, 2 points for a double resisted attack, and 3 points for a triple resisted attack. You will still earn points even if the resisted attack is shielded, but you will get 1 bonus point for each KO you get with a resisted charge attack. There will be no bonus points for a win as it is required for this challenge. To find out more about the competition and submit your entry, visit a link in the description or in the pinned comment, and I will be closing the deadline on Sunday evening, so make sure you're quick. We've already got 8 submissions, so that's looking really cool. I'm going to be showcasing the top 10 highest scoring entries this coming Tuesday, so make sure you're fast to submit your battles, but also if you do get a better battle, you're free to submit as many times as you want, and I'll just take the highest scoring battle that you submit. And with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the most significant move update for the Ultra League meta? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Shadow Hypno into Galarian Wheezing. So a great matchup for us. The opponent is going to eventually swap out into Mandibuzz. We're going to respond with Waylord. And of course, gaining access to Rollout this season will help in this matchup, but I'm also running Blizzard for coverage. So the opponent fires off the Aerial Ace. We're already at the Blizzard. Insane pacing with that Rollout. Blizzard goes unshielded. It does huge damage in this matchup, hopefully putting them into Rollout farm down range, but Mandibuzz is incredibly bulky. And unfortunately, Waylord not able to get the farm down there. I don't really want to have to use my shield, so I no shield, and we just barely hang on, living the Dark Pulse, coming out with a Surf loaded, firing off straight away into the Wheezing, coming back in and grabbing a shield advantage. At this point, we're going to come back in with the Shadow Hypno, and we are going to no shield the first move. Even if it's a brutal swing, we're still going to tank this reasonably comfortably. I wait for one turn just to make sure the opponent does not swap out and catch the charge move. We go for Psyshock, grabbing the final shield from the opponent as the opponent swaps into Skeledirge. Now, of course, Shadow Wheezing having access to Rollout and Shadow Ball. This is a good matchup, especially with a 2 shield advantage. We go straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to get the one shot there. They come back in with the Wheezing, and of course, we are going to no shield once again. They just fire off a brutal swing, fine with me. I go for a Sludge Bomb here. Technically, Shadow Ball does do slightly more damage in neutral situations, but it doesn't matter. We can come in with the Shadow Hypno, snipe with 1 confusion, taking out the Wheezing, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG swap on there into the next battle. See Annihilate in the lead. The opponent's going to say swap into a Shadow for Alligator. Now, honestly, I don't have a great response. So what I do is I stay in initially, getting off a few confusions before eventually swapping into my Waylord. And now I should be able to deal enough damage to take them out with just 2 Surfs. So the opponent is going to overfarm here, throwing just before we reach Surf number 2. But still, I can no shield this, and I can go and fire off the Surf. They are very close to, I think, actually at a charge beat already. So we're now going to swap into our Shadow Hypno, and we should be able to confusion farm them down before they reach the next move. They go for a Hydro Cannon there, fine with me, but they come in with their final Pokemon, a Jellicent, of course. Not great for us, but Psyshock going to do some respectable damage. The opponent actually shields the first one, and we can reach a second Psyshock already. So Psyshock number 2, going to, of course, connect this time as the opponent has no shields remaining. I'm going to no shield this. The opponent fires off the Shadow Ball there, and we are going to wait at the switch clock, come in with the Shadow Wheezing, and it just depends what they do here. They're going to overfarm, fire for charge move just before we reach ours. I'm going to no shield. It's just a Bubble Beam, which is a huge call there. The opponent then swaps. I'm able to catch the charge move onto my Waylord here. The opponent goes for Hydro Cannon. We can come back in with a Wheezing, get the farm down there, and they come back in with that Jellicent. So we're going straight for Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will get the one shot there. They come in with the Annihilate. I can out overfarm, fire off another Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball won't quite get the one shot here, but it does huge damage, and the opponent just going to concede the match there, and we're able to take that game. So, GG's top on there. Into the next battle, we see a Pyro in the lead. So, very interesting. We're going to swap into our Wailord, and the opponent choosing to stay in here, which is fine with me. We're going to fire off a Surf. Surf, of course, going to hit for super effective damage, and it's going to grab an early shield advantage. Now, the opponent does farm up a ton of energy. I thought maybe they were going to go for a Solar Beam, but no, instead, they're going to swap into Galissapod here, sponge this energy here, because unfortunately, we've only got resisted charge moves to throw. So, whilst Rollout is going to hit for super effective damage, this is a matchup where, unfortunately, they probably will be able to flip this, but I'm going to full send the Blizzard, and Blizzard is not shielded. It gets the KO there, so we still maintain alignment, but they come in with a Alolan Muck, and that's not really ideal for me. So we're going to come in with the Shadow Weezing. Of course, we are going to take neutral damage from a Dark Pulse. I'm going to shield, and they do full send it there, but we are unfortunately only going to hit for resisted charge moves. So we go for the Sludge Bomb here, and like I mentioned, Sludge Bomb going to do slightly less damage than a Shadow Ball, but I'm going to need 2 moves to take them out anyways, so might as well go for the cheaper move. They actually go for an Acid Spray, so I realized they're going to try and snipe with the Pyro. So we swap into our Hypno, but they're already at another charge move here, and the opponent is going to go for a boosted Dark Pulse, getting the KO. We come back in with the Weezing, and I need to commit to the farm down, but they live with 1 HP. And a Dream, unfortunately, reaching a last second Flame Charge. Flame Charge takes us out there, and we do end up losing that game. But GG top over there, very close game. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Confusion Cresselia. So, of course, unfortunately, Hypno can't really do anything in this matchup, but I'm going to stay in. And, of course, taking very little damage from the Confusions from Cresselia as well. So, might as well farm up a ton of energy, wait for them to throw, and then eventually swap into my Wailord. But they did overfarm, so they do have another Grass Knot already. So, we're going to shield this up as the opponent fires off that Grass Knot. We can go for one rollout. Now we're at the energy for a Surf. And, of course, Surf not really going to hit that hard in this matchup, but that's okay. We are going to go straight for Surf number 2, and Surf should put them into farm down range. The opponent is going to bank the energy before swapping into a Venusaur, and we are able to reach a Blizzard before the opponent throws the charge move. Blizzard does not get respected. We get the one shot there, and now I'm going to swap a Catch the Grass Knot, or at least I assume to be a Grass Knot, onto my Shadow Weezing. Now we can go for the rollout farm down, of course, taking Confusion, super effective damage, but that's okay. And they come in with their final Pokemon, a Talonflame. So this should be game over. We can fire off the Sludge Bomb, grab the first shield from the opponent, but we've already got Sludge Bomb number 2. And remember, Shadow Hypno has so much loaded energy. The opponent does not commit to a full farm down there. And, of course, Flame Charge will be taking us out. We can come in with the Hypno, farm up to 100 energy, fire off the Psyshock, and Psyshock from this range takes out the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into the next battle, see Lapras in the lead. So, this is an okay matchup for me. Of course, we are running Focus Blast, so I could go and full send a Focus Blast. However, I'm actually not sure if they might outpace me to back-to-back Sparkling Arias before we get there. So actually, I'm going to play it safe and just fire off a Psyshock. I think this probably is a mistake. I think we would have got there. But either way, Psyshock is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. We then swap into our Wailord, and they do farm up a ton of energy. This could be a Skull Bash. I'm going to shield. It is just a bait with a Sparkling Aria, unfortunately. But that's okay. They come in with Virizion, and once again, we are full sending the Blizzard. Blizzard is not respected, but unfortunately, Rollout is resisted damage, so I'm not going to be able to farm them down. However, I should live a Leaf Blade, and I can definitely live a Sacred Sword. We're now firing off the Surf here. Surf is going to get the KO from this range, so we grab a shield, and then I realize the opponent overfarms. I might as well swap Catch the Charge move onto my Hypno as they go for another Sacred Sword there, but then they come in with their final Pokemon, a Skeledirge. So we're going straight for Psyshock. Psyshock not going to do too much damage there, but it might allow me to farm down the Skeledirge in the end game, so let's see. We're, of course, going to wait at the switch clock here, come in with my Kanto Weezing, and I'm going to no-shield the first move, expecting the opponent probably going to go for a Torch Song and boost up their attack, and they do, but now we can swap, we can snipe with the Wailord, or grab the final shield from the opponent. The opponent going to use the final shield there, banking the energy before coming back in with their Virizion. So I no-shield, Sacred Sword, gets the KO, we can come in with a Weezing, get the farm down, the opponent comes back in with the Lapras, but they've already got a charge move loaded, so now what I need to do is farm up 2 back-to-back Sludge Bombs. Sludge Bomb is 50 energy, so of course we need to farm to 100. Fire off the first Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb gets the KO. We win CMP up against the Skeledirge. This is resisted damage, but Sludge Bomb does get the KO from that range, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there into the next battle. See Annihilate in the lead once again. So, once again, great lead for us. The opponent's going to say swap into Skeledirge. I believe this was the first battle I did with this team. So, at this point, I'm thinking Wailord, reasonably bulky. I mean, it's got a high HP stat. We're going to tank that fairly comfortably. However, I am running a Hundo Wailord, and Wailord doesn't really need to be XL for the Ultra League. So, or at least if it does, it doesn't need to be very excelled there. So, not the highest stat product on the Wailord. And unfortunately, that's going to be costly for me because we cannot reach a third Surf there. They get the full farm down. And technically, if I'd have thrown 3 rollouts and then fired off a Surf the second time round instead of going for 1 rollout and going for a Surf, I could have got to 3 moves, but I kind of just expect the opponent to throw a charge move straight away. But either way, we're going to see Annihilate coming back in. We can go for the Shadow Ball, dealing huge damage. And honestly, I probably shouldn't have swapped out there, because now I'm going to tank a super effective Rage Fist. It doesn't do too much damage there, but it is going to force me to throw my energy up against the Skeledirge coming in. Otherwise, maybe I would have shielded and then gone for a full farm down. But we get the KO there, but they've got Greninja in the back. And this isn't looking too good for me. Of course, I'm not going to reach a focus bar, so might as well just let the Hypno go down, and hopefully Shadow Weezing can get the KO from this range. But the opponent is 1 away from back-to-back charge moves. We shoot up the Night Sash. We need a Sludge Bomb to get the KO from this HP, and Sludge Bomb barely doesn't take them out there. Now they've got the energy for another charge move. Of course, Night Sash takes out the Weezing from that range, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG up there into the next battle. See a Grand Ball in the lead. So we do have a Poison type in the back. However, Hypno going to have a fairly neutral matchup in this situation. So I'm going to make sure to throw on good timing, going for the Side Shock here. Side Shock is going to be shielded by the opponent, of course, and they're going to fire off a charge move straight away. So at this point, I'm actually going to let the Hypno go down here. Whilst we do have 2 rollout users in the back, they've got very different typings, so decent coverage here. We don't need to maintain our lead matchup. But either way, we are going to, unfortunately, shield as they do reach a last-second crunch. But they come in with a Giratina, so we're going straight for the Shadow Ball, grabbing the shield from the opponent. We can now reach another Shadow Ball already. So going for Shadow Ball number 2. That does big damage to the Giratina. And I should be able to live a Dragon Claw as well. So I'm going to no-shield this. Hopefully, I can still reach another Shadow Ball before they farm me down. And we're able to get there in time. Shadow Ball number 3 will be taking out the Giratina. And they've got another Charm user. So this is Giratina double Charm, but in an ABA style team, which is very interesting. Not very good, but either way, we're going for the Surf there. And I realize Surf probably would get the KO, but might as well commit to the Blizzard. We've seen a few Blizzards land already in this video. It's very fun to go for. So we go for that Blizzard, and of course up against the Sylveon. Blizzard gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there into the next battle. See Hypno into Clefable. So, of course, this is a neutral matchup. Once again, we do have a... Wow, what the hell was even that? We do have a Poison type in the back, so I can just let the Hypno go down here. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm hoping maybe to grab a shield, but let's see. We go for the Side Shock. Side Shock is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. I realized they would outpace me to a Swift, so I'm actually going to swap into my Wailord. Kind of going back on what I just said there. But either way, we're going to shield the Moonblast, and I'll admit, like, every time I use a shield on the Wailord, you can barely see it, so I always panic thinking like, oh, did I misclick there? But nope, we did click on it. It's just kind of hard to see because Wailord is just absolutely massive. But either way, they come in with a Blastoise. Now, unfortunately, this is not a very good matchup for us at all, especially if they're running Skull Bash. So we're going for Surf number 2. Surf is going to get them at least into the yellow health range. I'm going to no-shield this, and the opponent is on Skull Bash. That does big damage. I'm now going to swap out there as I realize they can just go for a full rollout farm down. I'm going to no-shield the Hydro Cannon here. It does some decent damage, but that's okay. We can now fire off a Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Bomb I'm hoping will get the KO, but unfortunately, because they boosted up their defense there, they're able to tank it. Maybe should have gone for the Shadow Ball, but either way, the opponent's going to come in with a Runerigus. We go for the Shadow Ball, and it connects through both shields there, and that is huge for me. We can now fire off the Sludge Bomb, and then going to swap into my Wailord, basically just force the opponent to throw their energy. Of course, they go for Rock Tomb, taking us out there, debuffing my attack as well. It doesn't really make a difference there. We come in with the Shadow Hypno, and I realize I need to shield this. However, Blastoise does have a charge move loaded. I'm not able to swap out in time there. There's no point throwing a move there just because it doesn't make a difference. But we can come in with the Weezing, get a simultaneous KO there, and we end up tying that game. So, GG top on there into the next battle. Another good lead for us as we see a Galarian Weezing. The opponent's going to say swap into a Dusknoir, and now unfortunately I don't really have a great response. I can come in with the Weezing, but These astonishes are really chunking. We are going to shield as the opponent goes for a shadow punch there. We're going to go for a shadow ball. Shadow ball will easily get the KO here. So the opponent does use their shield, but honestly, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. So at this point, I think I'm going to double shield. I'm expecting the opponent to double shield as well, but that's okay. I need to at least grab all shields from the opponent. So Shadow Ball does actually get the KO then, but the opponent comes in with a Mud Slap Shadow Golurk, so not really ideal. We're going to come in with a Wailord, but the opponent tries to swap and catch the charge move there. I predicted that, so I hold onto the energy. We swap into our Shadow Hypno. They fire off a Brutal Swing. Now, unfortunately, they probably will be able to win this matchup here, but we go for Side Shock. Side Shock gets them very low to the point where we can farm them down with rollouts on our Wailord, but I believe the Golurk is very close to back-to-back charge moves. We do actually come out with 2 Surfs, so the opponent does not throw immediately. Surf number 1 grabs the final shield. We throw on the CMP tie, losing CMP here, and it's just a Shadow Punch, so Surf number 2 will be enough damage, hopefully, to get the KO from this range, and it does take out the Shadow Golurk, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Shadow Hypno into Primarina. So, we're going to stay in this matchup initially. And the opponent's actually going to swap into a Giratina. So, I'm going to bank the energy, swap into my Wailord, realizing, of course, that a Blizzard probably will get the one-shot. So, the opponent fires off a Shadow Sneak, which is definitely not the right move to go for. If they're on Shadow Sneak and Dragon Claw is definitely better. But either way, I'm now going to overfarm, fire off the Blizzard here. Does the opponent respect the damage? Nope. Once again, we get the one shot there. They come in with a Feraligatr, and I'm able to reach a Surf. Now, of course, Surf is resisted damage here. The opponent is going to no-shield, but that's absolutely okay with me. I'm going to no-shield this. The opponent will take us out with the Hydro Cannon. We can come back in with the Shadow Hypno and go straight for a Side Shock. Side Shock is going to grab the first shield from the opponent. At this point, I'm definitely going to shield as well. As the opponent goes for a Hydro Cannon, I'm going to fire off Side Shock number 2 immediately. And at this point, this should be game over. We are going to see the opponent is going to overfarm again, throwing just before we reach the next charge move. I'm actually going to shield this, and then I'm going to swap into my Weezing, as I realize I could get that rollout farm down, but now I can just get an energy advantage into the Primarina coming back in. Sludge Bomb gets the one shot. We can just commit to a rollout farm down up against Feraligatr, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG swap there. Into the next battle, we see Copalion in the lead. So, this is a good matchup for me. The opponent's going to say swap into Feraligatr. And I probably should have stayed in for slightly longer than I did with my Hypno, because now, unfortunately, 2 Surfs will not quite be enough damage to get the KO up against Feraligatr. So this is going to be slightly tricky for me to maintain alignment here. But either way, we're going to fire off the first Surf there. The opponent is going to no-shield. I'm going to no-shield as well as they reach a second Hydro Cannon. And at this point, I thought about going for the Blizzard, but I'm not quite going to reach it before they reach another charge move. So we settle for the Surf there. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite put them into range where we can get the farm down. But I shield at the last second anyways, and then we swap back into our Hypno. Maybe a slightly questionable decision there, but either way, we come in. We are going to no-shield the first move, as the opponent does go for the Shadow Sneak. This time, it does make sense, of course, as we are weak to the Ghost typing, but either way, we're going to go for the Side Shock. Side Shock number 1 gets the shield there. We can go for Side Shock number 2. Of course, we could have access to, like, Ice Punch or Shadow Ball, and the opponent ends up double shielding, so interesting play on the opponent's end there. We're going to come in with the Weezing, and we should be able to get the KO with a single Shadow Ball, but let's see. The opponent going to fire off a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to be very spammy, so they're already at Dragon Claw number 2. I'm going to no-shield this, and the opponent is going to swap, try to catch there. Unfortunately, I'm not quite able to get the farm down before they do reach a Hydro Cannon, so I'm committing to the farm down now. And let's see, the opponent comes back in with the Cobalion. We can go straight for a Shadow Ball here. Remember, we do have a Surf on the Wailord, so what we're going to do is swap out there. I tried to swap and throw on the CMP tie, but I didn't wait for long enough, so Surf is going to, of course, connect, but the opponent doesn't commit to the farm down here, and this gives me a potential win condition here. I need to overfarm by the perfect amount, but I am very low. We go for the Shadow Ball at 100 energy. Shadow Ball gets the KO there, but the opponent was just 1 away from a charge move, and of course, Dragon Claw will be taking us out there. Even if I had a shield there, I think we are at 1 HP, so it would have KO'd through the shield, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's up on there. Into next battle, we can see the opponent's going to safe swap into a Togekiss. Now, we have full sent the Blizzard a few times. Togekiss and a lot of Charm users usually shield, but unfortunately, they actually don't shield the Surf there. So we could have just gone for another Blizzard and got the one shot. But either way, we can grab a shield from the opponent. And at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't actually mind losing switch advantage here. We can just come in with the Weezing, resist the Charm damage whilst hitting for super effective rollout damage and get the farm down there. The opponent then comes in with a Galarian Stunfisk, which is definitely not ideal for me though. But we are going to go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does some decent damage. We swap back into the Shadow Hypno. And I realize they're probably just going to go and full send an Earthquake. So I'm actually going to shield this. And it is the Earthquake. They come back in with the Talonflame. And that's okay with me. We can fire off a Side Shock here. Side Shock does some decent damage there. And the opponent could go for a Brave Bird here. But either way, I'm going to no shield anyways. And the opponent does full send the Brave Bird. But Hypno, super bulky, able to just barely hang on, reach a Side Shock. And Side Shock, not really going to do much damage here. But it puts them into range where one Shadow Ball will get the KO. Now, this is going to be tricky. I'm wondering, do I need to bait with a Sludge Bomb to get the KO with a Shadow Ball? But they full send the Earthquake there. And that makes the decision super easy for me. Because now, we can just fire off back-to-back Shadow Balls. First one grabs the final shield. And Shadow Ball number 2 will be enough damage to take out the Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle, Secret Ninja in the lead. So this is really bad for me. Going to say swap into my Wailord. The opponent choosing to stay in initially and just going to fire off a charge boost straight away. They go for a Night Slash there. Doesn't do too much damage before swapping into Cobalion. Now, not a great matchup for me, of course. Rollout is going to hit for double resisted damage as they are a Steel and Fighting type Pokemon. But either way, I'm going to no shield this. The opponent goes for Sacred Sword there. And if they commit to a full farm down, I might just be able to reach back-to-back Surf. So let's see. We go for Surf number 2. Surf gets them fairly low there, and we are just barely able to hang on. Reach Surf number 3. This should grab a shield as the opponent will be very keen to maintain alignment here. But either way, we're going to come in with the Shadow Hypno. I'm going to no shield everything they throw here. As they go for a Stone Edge, fine with me. The opponent will reach another Charge Move, probably another Stone Edge, but that's okay. I can tank this, and I will eventually get the Confusion farm down, but the opponent actually swaps back into Greninja, which is quite a smart play there. Takes me off guard, and we're going to come in with the Weezing. Of course, I do no shield as that was just a Night Slash. However, at this point, I'm definitely going to have to shield. Then go for another Night Slash because at this point, I kind of need to shield everything. We can fire off a Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. And at this point, all we've got to do is make sure the opponent does not make a catch. And oh no, I'm going to overfarm, but the opponent perfectly catches onto Cobalion. Brilliant catch there. Even undercharging that, even the fact that is double resisted up against Cobalion, it still gets the KO there. And Shadow Ball does huge damage, but it's not quite enough damage to get the KO. We come out with a Side Shock loaded, but of course, the opponent has the energy for a Shadow Ball, taking out the Hypno. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. So, GG top end there, very nice catch there, because actually, Weezing would have had a really good matchup up against that Skeledirge in the back, so brilliantly played there. But into the next battle, we see another safe swap into Feraligatr, and once again, we're going to come in with the Wailord, just sponge the energy, of course, only going to hit for resisted damage as well in return, but either way, doesn't really matter too much. They're going to go for Hydro Cannon number 2. We're going to fire off a Surf here. We have farmed up to the Blizzard, and Surf is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. We can reach another Surf, but I realize Surf probably wouldn't quite get the KO from that range, so instead, we're now going to overfarm here, shielding out the Hydro Cannon, and throwing up once again to very close to back-to-back Surfs. Surf is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. They come back in with the Primeape, and maybe I could have committed to the Blizzard, but of course, they could have actually outpaced me to a Charge Move if I did commit to that. So instead, they go for the farm down there. We come in with the Shadow Hypno. The opponent is going to go for a Rage Fist there, and we can now fire off a Side Shot. Now, the thing is, I don't really want to stay in this matchup because they will be able to reach another Rage Fist very soon. So we're actually going to swap into our Weezing, tank the first Rage Fist. Of course, they are continuing to boost up their attack, so I need to shield this next one, otherwise it will probably get very close to taking me out there. And they swap into their final Pokemon, a Skeledirge, and again, going straight for Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to connect. It does huge damage, and we're able to get the rollout farm down, coming out with a Charge Move loaded, and this time we will be firing off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does slightly more damage. It gets the KO up against the Primeape, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.